Welcome back to Hannity. So in the wake of Dr. Benjamin Carson expressing concern about a Muslim becoming president of the United States, well, we decided to launch a special Hannity investigation to find out if American Muslims think that Sharia law should supersede the U.S. Constitution. Earlier today, we sent out Fox News contributor David Webb to an Islamic Cultural Center in New York City. Now watch this closely.
Your thoughts, should Sharia law supersede the U.S. Constitution?
No, but I think the Sharia law is made by God, by Allah, and the Constitution is made by people. So it's not the same.
Do you believe that Sharia law should be above the U.S. Constitution?
Yes. Yes.
Sharia law is completely different than the United States Constitution. As a Muslim, you practice my Islamic law. As a Muslim, but United States Constitution, as a citizen of the United States, I have to respect the Constitution. Nothing to do with Sharia law. It's a Muslim country, Sharia law is allowed. Other country, no. You have to have a right Constitution.
Should any religious law supersede the U.S. Constitution at any time? Any denomination?
Maybe in the future.
The U.S. Constitution deserve all the people living in U.S. their rights, right? So Sharia law does not contradict with this. Sharia law just protect our dignified. We are like human being, be respectful, to be respectful in the society.
So you think that the U.S. Constitution should be the law of the land in the U.S.
Also helpful to protect our Sharia.
Should Sharia law be over the U.S. Constitution?
Yes, maybe. Every country have a different policy and different law, but I respect the law in any country I go.
Do you believe that the tenets of Sharia law should be over the U.S. Constitution?
No.
That U.S. Constitution, which is made by people, and the Sharia law is made by Allah. So that is all the way above. That has to be definitely in the land, not for the America, for the whole world, would be above the Sharia law.
So that should be above the U.S. Constitution?
Yes.
Joining me now with reaction, syndicated radio talk show host out of Boston, Howie Carr, the author of Demystifying Islam, Tackling the Tough Questions, the national spokesperson for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Haris Zafar, and Fox News contributor David Webb. You had a significant number, and by the way, this backs up a poll that came out last year that even a majority of Muslims in America think that Sharia should supersede the Constitution.
Yeah, and look, there was no problem getting these questions and answers from these folks. You saw a wide variety of them. We gave them a chance to answer. The problem, and I have this problem with anyone, anywhere who believes that any religious belief supersedes the U.S. Constitution. We're a nation where the Constitution guarantees your religious freedom and where your religion does not trump it. Most people believe that in America. There are Muslims who want to live here and live under our Constitution, but too much we find a growing number of them that believe Sharia should supersede the U.S. Constitution. And one there admit, look, in other countries, it's Sharia, but look at those countries where Sharia is the law.
Mr. Zafar, while you are a minority in the Muslim community in many ways, and more liberal-minded in your views, generally speaking, we know the application of Sharia renders or relegates women and minorities and other religious faiths to second-class citizens. So that's just a fact when you look at the application of Sharia in Muslim countries. So if you have more than half of Muslims in America that want Sharia, they are basically saying they don't support the U.S. Constitution, where you have freedom of religion and freedom of expression.
Yeah, it's what surprises me. The reason this surprises me because the most fundamental principle in Islam on this subject is that the law of the land supersedes all other laws. So in the verses in the Quran that talk about government do not specify any religious involvement. They say put your trust in those that are in authority in your country, and it tells those people in authority to be just, not religious.
Okay,
as long
but wait
as
a
they're
minute,
just,
but the true application of Sharia in countries is women can't drive, women have to dress a certain way, they can't be seen in public with men that are not their relatives. In some cases, women need 4 male eyewitnesses for rape. Gays and lesbians are killed. Those that leave the faith are viewed as apostates. They are killed for such religious liberty. So the reality is, it is at odds with the U.S. Constitution. It's practical application. Howie Carr.
So what? Oh.
Well, yeah, Sean, obviously this is what Ben Carson was talking about when he said he couldn't advocate for electing a Muslim president. And this is just a very troubling fact of life in society. I mean, and the fact that the Democrats are attacking Ben Carson over saying this, I mean, this is a Sharia law. There's no gay marriage, for instance. Abortion, as you pointed out, is punishable by death. Blasphemy. You know, no one's talking about rounding up Muslims. Certainly not Ben Carson, like FDR did during World War II. But this is just a fundamentally Sharia law is at odds with the Bill of Rights.
Howie, I want you to expand on that, because fundamentally the Quran and Islam, I'm not talking about radical Islamists, the Quran and Islam are fundamentally at odds with the Constitution. Isn't that the truth?
No,
correct.
It's not the truth.
You know, did you ever think, Sean, that we would come to a point in our lifetimes where the Constitution and the Bill of Rights would be on the table? No. It's just mind-boggling, and I can't, and I don't understand why the Democrats are so down on Carson. You know, they have litmus tests, so-called, for Supreme Court justices. If you're against abortion rights, then you know they're not going to vote for you, including Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer. Now they have a litmus test for Citizens United, the Supreme Court decision about the First Amendment. So I mean, if Ben Carson wants to make this a litmus test, if you're for Sharia law, he's not going to vote for you. What's the problem? I'm with Ben Carson.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, if I ask you, Mr. Zafar, you know, where are the Catholic and Christian and Protestant and Jewish temples in Muslim countries, and what are the restrictions, or what is the punishment for anyone that speaks out against the very extremely controversial life of Muhammad? What would happen to them in a Muslim country under Sharia, as applied currently in Muslim countries today?
Right. And so what you have clearly and very accurately defined as the system of government in countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, Afghanistan, there's a reason why within the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community and other Muslims as well, that we continually and consistently condemn them not just on like a
small minority. You can't even get, as I understand it, in Pakistan, you can't get a Muslim funeral if you're an Ahmadiyya.
The United States
Sean,
constitutes.
they just had a
the United
major
States
march
constitutes
in
less than
Copenhagen, Denmark. They want to make Denmark a Muslim nation. There was a
but you know where part of this needs to begin, Sean, is that there's a reformation needed, and the Ahmadiyya Muslims, the Sufis, there are other groups. Just like we had a reformation in the Christian church, there's time for a Muslim reformation, and it's at hand.
David,
and the small vote,
and that's why it's very important to remember that.
But here's my point: in the United States, they can create a foundation and begin to spread. It's not going to happen overnight.
They're not even considered Muslims by the 98%.
I know, no, I hear you, but it's got to start somewhere, and Muslims have to solve this problem.
Last word.
That's why it's important to remember the U.S. constitutes less than 5% of the world population. Obviously, they're not unimportant. It's all about the works and the impact. And look at that. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community has built and operated over 15,000 mosques in the world, more than any other Muslim organization.
You are less than 2%. You are less than 2%.
And the U.S. is less than 5%, but our significance is what really matters. And that's why within the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we are leading the reformation. The U.S. Constitution absolutely is paramount, and we're loyal
Saudi Arabia
citizens of this
offering
country.
to build in Germany for the new refugees, so-called, that are coming
And we're with you to
Germany.
condemn Saudi Arabia and their clerics. Absolutely.
Thank you all for being with us.